Today I fucked up by sitting in bed next to my sleeping husband. Sorry if the formatting is weird, I'm on mobile. I want to preface this by saying I love my husband dearly. He is sweet, silly, and romantic, and honestly the best thing that's ever happened to me. My husband is what I like to call an active sleeper, meaning he tosses and turns a lot while he's sleeping. I've woken up a handful of times from a good kick to my shin or a hand shoved in my face. I can't lay in bed and hold my phone while facing him because every time I do he either grabs it and yoinks it away or he shoves his hand out and knocks my phone into my face. He also a tendency to talk in his sleep, saying things like, "Walk over to the taco in San Jose," or shouting, "Not for fire control," before rolling over and mumbling under his breath, trying to be cool. One time I was up at 3 a.m., thanks insomnia, and he said, "I love this guy, he's so hot. And those titties, damn." He said he couldn't remember what he was dreaming about when I asked him in the morning. I imagine he was having a wet dream about Dwayne Johnson. I tend to wake up much earlier than him. He's a night owl and I'm usually awake by 6 a.m., so I catch a lot of these moments. He also farts a lot in the morning while he's still asleep, and he's very cuddly. Sometimes he just scoots his butt right up next to me while he's sleeping and then gasses me for the next 10 minutes. Anyway, onto the foo. So earlier this morning I'm minding my business, sitting in bed and journaling on the iPad like usual when I hear him start mumbling in his sleep. I turned and leaned in a bit to try to hear what he was saying when he threw out his arms, as far as he could under a heavy blanket, and rolled over quite suddenly. His fist, which he seemed to be trying to push through the duvet, slammed against my forehead. I leaned back, feeling a bit like a mole at the arcade, and yelped, "Ow!" to which he replied by rolling over and farting in my direction. He is still struggling sleeping next to me and I can't wait to tell him about this when he wakes up. Too long did not read. My sleeping husband played whack-a-mole with my face and then farted at me. Edit. Well, this got a lot of attention. Thank you kind strangers for the awards and the upvotes. I hope reading this story made your day a little better, as reading your responses have definitely brightened mine. I'll try to respond to as many of you as I can. Also, yes, my husband has sleep issues. We're working on getting him set up with what he needs. Thank you for your concern. Edit 2. Wow, so many comments, thank you. I'm slowly getting through them and sharing the highlights with my husband, but I unfortunately don't think I'll be able to get through all of them. Thanks for all the jokes and relatable stories. It's good to know I'm not the only one getting karate chopped in my sleep. Lol. You need to start sleeping with a helmet on. Also, amateur move from you trying to lean into him to hear what he was saying. Has your husband been to a sleep doctor? He farted in your general direction? Is he French? Your too long did not read. Had me cackling. I hope your head isn't too sore. I'm terrible because if something makes me laugh, I can make the whole bed shake with my giggles, even if I'm not making any noise. I once tried to put my arm around my wife in bed but ended up cramming my hand in her butt by mistake. Combination of sleepiness and dyspraxia 0/10 do not recommend. Scared us both. I couldn't stop giggling afterwards, and I reckon I was in more trouble for the giggling shaking the bed for ages than for the accidental wedgie. Start him an OnlyFans for when he sleeps, but don't tell him about it. TIFU. I locked myself out of the house with the keys inside. This happened about an hour ago, so I apologize if this comes off as a bit ranty. I'm still a little upset. Tonight, I was taking some trash to my garbage bin in the garage. Usually, I take the keys with me whenever I go outside, even just for that. I've also developed a habit of locking the front door whenever I go outside. This time, I forgot to take the keys with me, and, without even thinking, I just locked the door behind me out of habit. It wasn't until I realized I couldn't get back in that I effed up. There used to be a spare key inside a fake rock, but my parents had replaced that key with the key to the back gate. They own the house I live in, but they live in their own house. Cue 10 minutes of freaking out, crying, and shouting, "What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?" My phone was also in the house, and my car keys were on the same keychain as the house key. I tried asking the neighbors, but I was a complete stranger to them, so of course they wouldn't trust me. I could even see them waiting for me to leave, not that I blame them. I wouldn't trust a crying, shouting 30-year-old stranger either. I live near a high school, and there's often a police car there, so I tried that. No such luck. I then realized there was a gas station about half a mile away. There was no sidewalk, so I had to walk on the side of the road at 9 p.m. with no street lamps. Finally, I reached the gas station, and the employee was kind enough to let me use his phone to call my parents. My dad came for me a half an hour later. He told me to get a copy of my key at one of those machines at Lowe's. I'm doing that first thing tomorrow. I'm also never leaving the house without my keys again. Thanks for hearing me out. Now, I just feel like drowning my sorrows in candy and video games. Too long did not read. Tonight, I locked myself out of the house with my keys and phone inside. Walked a mile to a gas station, and used their phone to call my parents. They used their own house keys. Edit. I didn't lock the door because I felt unsafe. It was purely out of habit, almost like a reflex. I'm so used to locking it every time that I did it without thinking. I have a few gift cards laying around that I can release the bottom lock with. They are better than credit cards because they are empty and don't have my name on them. Yup. You should have a hidden key. Comes in handy when you least expect it. I always hide a key somewhere in the yard. Hell, I climbed to second-story porches, slid through basement windows, slit holes in the bottom of the screen so I can get it open, and used garbage bins to get up, and luckily the window was unlocked. Hell, I have used cards from my wallet to jimmy the door 3 times. I was drinking a lot in my 20s and early 30s. Also, I think it was drizzling on the porch climb, 9/10 wouldn't suggest. This same thing happened to me on my 19th birthday, except I was drunk and ready for bed when I decided to have one last cigarette. I figured since it was late and I already had on my birthday suit, I would just waltz outside, have a smoke and go to bed. My parents' front door had an autolock feature, which I forgot to disengage. It was 3 a.m. No one was awake. The last thing I wanted to do was knock on the door for my parents to let me in. After about 20 minutes while hiding in the bushes, I remembered my dad had a spare key under the seat of his work vehicle. TIFU. I left a bottle of hot sauce on the table in view of my 2-year-old. Obligatory. This actually happened today. I, 40 male, love hot sauce and hot peppers. I thought burgers would be nice for lunch today, so I got some for me and the kids, 4 female, 2 female, and 2 male. I also thought, hey, that extra hot Tabasco would be delicious on my burger. For the uninitiated, the extra hot Tabasco is made with Trinidad scorpion peppers. While they aren't the hottest peppers in the world, they're pretty damned hot. My mental scale of how hot the different mainstream hot sauces from Louisiana runs is, Louisiana hot sauce is the girl next door, not that hot but easy to deal with. Tabasco is the punk rock chick or the manic pixie dream girl everyone wants. Extra hot Tabasco is Tabasco's insane cousin that did time at Angola Penitentiary for arson, grand theft auto, and alligator buggery. Dave's Insanity Sauce, not a Louisiana brand, I know. Just the hottest stuff I've ever messed with, cooks meth for kicks and can kill you with her bare hands in 63 different ways. But then it was time to clear the table after lunch, and that's when I fucked up. I knew I should have put the hot sauce back in the fridge before I cleared the table because I know my kids like to grab stuff they shouldn't. But I thought, hey, it's okay, it'll only take a second. Well, then I heard my sweet innocent little boy start screaming and spitting. At first I thought one of his sisters did something to him. Nope. Daddy's just a dumbass for leaving out the hot-ass hot sauce. Thankfully, I left the top on it, so he just got the residue that tends to build up on the outside, but on the other hand, he's 2 years old. Black pepper is sometimes too much for him. And #X200B. Too long did not read. Daddy knew better than to leave the hot sauce unguarded. 2-year-old fucked around and found out. Daddy feels like an asshole. Alternative take. Your 2-year-old just learned a valuable lesson about fucking around with shit that is not his. I caught my toddler licking the carpet and crying. Turned out he'd helped himself to my chicken satay when I popped into the kitchen for a glass of water. He's 30 now and enjoys the spicy stuff. Hopefully you've started building up his tolerance rather than putting him off hot foods for life so he grows up to be an adult who thinks aioli is pretty spicy. Had a roommate in college who would eat my food all the time. He then got a puppy who would jump up on the table and eat my food all the time. Scorpion and ghost pepper solved all of those issues. After about a month of developing stomach ulcers and a calloused butthole, I was able to put down the sauce and they both left my food alone. I'll bear your mistake in mind. I have a 1-month-old and I am an absolute hot sauce fiend. Today I fucked up by flashing my masseuse. I, male, 21, and my girlfriend, 19, are in Vietnam for the summer with her family. Her family suggested that we visit a masseuse. I have never been to a masseuse before, but I always complain about my shoulder pain, so I thought I'd give it a try. My girlfriend warned me that I'd have to be naked, and I said, sure, I'm confident enough about my appearance. A few days later, we went to the masseuse, and after we paid, we were sent to our respective locker rooms. We were given a towel, a bathrobe, and this weird black fabric in a plastic bag. I couldn't tell what it was. I got in the shower, dried off, took off my clothes, and put on the robe. Then I went into the room where the masseuse was. Unknown to me, my girlfriend was also getting a massage in the same room as me. The sections of our room were separated by a wooden screen. The masseuse told me to take off my robe and hop on the bed. When I did, I knew something was off. She started speaking Vietnamese to the other masseur in the room who was working on my GF. Then she left the room for a minute and came back with another one of those black fabrics. It was disposable underwear. I was supposed to wear underwear. I just flashed the female masseuse. I then struggled to put it on in the dark, but eventually I slipped it on and laid on the bed, and the massage was pretty nice. Afterwards, my girlfriend told me what the masseuse was saying. Apparently, it went like this. What my masseuse said before I walked into the room. Oh my gosh, I got a guy. I hate doing guys. What my masseur said after I flashed her. This guy doesn't know how to wear clothes. The other masseur said, yaw, I got flashed by another foreigner last week. Too long did not read. I took my GF's warning about being naked at a masseuse literally. I'm fairly certain a Vietnamese masseuse will have seen worse. Oh, don't think too much about it. What's done is done, and at least when you go back you'll know what to do. They will probably forget about you too. So complaining to your coworker about tourists is common the world over, good to know. Sounds like you went to the wrong massage parlor. She always get messaged by other men, and they always tell her to be naked, that's the confusion.